OUIL open intox in file 24-96. Mr. Schuler is here with his lawyer, James Mequio. It seems like this matter also got adjourned a time or two. Mr. Schuler is charged in 24-96 with operating while intoxicated as a second offense. Open intox and failing to report an accident. Good afternoon, Mr. McBill.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Also present is Melissa Halleck from the prosecutor's office. I'll defer to you, Ms. Halleck, first. What's the status here?
Well, I'm not sure, Your Honor. I emailed an offer to Mr. Mequio. I did not hear back from him. So I guess.
That's true, Your Honor. I wanted to speak with the client today. I believe there's some issues on the OWI I'm still investigating, so I'm hoping to get either an adjournment on that or sometime set it for trial and see if I can work it out before trial date. But so the OWI is still kind of pending, but we are prepared to finish the disturbing the peace case today and proceed to sentencing.
Okay. We are also looking at Mr. Schuler for sobriety card. I've known him since he was a kid. He had several MIPs, maybe 4 previous OUIL. And did you once crash a boat while you were drunk? Somebody, I thought it was you, might be one of your.
No, wrong one. I know we're a tight knit group in Sturgis.
No, but they crashed a jet boat into a house on Klinger Lake.
Oh, no, unfortunately not me.
All right, well, fortunately,
Well, that's fortunately, sorry.
it was a Schuler, but apparently it wasn't you. Anyway, you and I have known each other for a long time. This also happened some time ago. It happened in December of 2023. The disturbing the peace happened in August of 23, and it happened in part because your girlfriend didn't want you to drive while you were drunk, and you ended up kicking the door in and knocking the phone out of her hand. And you got a long history of alcohol issues and not dealing very well. And so maybe this isn't a sobriety court case, but we'll set that one for trial. And then we'll deal with the disturbing the peace. How are you for either June 12th or June 26th?
What is her due date?
That'd be right around June 20th. We don't know if she's gonna go over or.
Oh, you have a baby due there?
Yes, that's my only. Right around June 20th would be the actual due date, but with hers, they're thinking it might be earlier, especially the way it's looking. What
are the issues with it? Is they found him later walking down the railroad tracks?
They did, Your Honor, and in all honesty to both parties, my client was found with a smallish, I think, half pint of Jim Beam in his pocket. And my client indicates to me that after the accident is when he drank the Jim Beam as opposed to before he was driving. So I'm trying to flesh out the possibility of the time.
Well, those are the two best. If one is I wasn't driving, and the other one is I drank after the accident.
Right.
That now has a name that I won't use here.
Not sure what that is, but I'll be glad to hear about that later. But it was, yeah, I think I looked at the videos. I think that's what my client expressed to the police also, but it was kind of a garbled conversation, so it's hard to sort it out. I want to speak to my client very carefully about the OWI. I think sobriety court is still something we should look at if my client ultimately agrees that perhaps he had something to drink before also. And then
all right, well, let's
move from there.
Who do we have for witnesses from the prosecution?
Oh my goodness. Let me file, I believe.
I don't remember seeing one. Let me double check.
Oh, that's because Yeah, after reviewing all of the video evidence as well as some of the eyewitnesses that were at the scene that saw the accident were not in my file. I had a conversation with Officer Wired 2 days ago, requesting the 911 call, an interview of the person that did call 911 was not in the file. I watched the video, believe that what the defendant had was actually a shooter, a smaller thing of alcohol. And at scene, I looked at dispatch for the accident compared to when his blood draw was. His blood draw wasn't until almost 2 hours later, and he was still a 0.16. So if he's alleging he only drank that small shooter of Jim
Well,
Beam,
he'll either gonna have to decide whether he wants to plead or
Right.
run the.
So I
racket.
may
In
have
fact, that information that you were just speaking is what I was looking for, because there was no indication.
Well, and
of-
it's frustrating, and
no
welcome to
witnesses, yeah.
the current world we're in.
Yeah.
You know, this is March or April, almost May. This happened in
Yeah.
December. You still can't get the information. They're not sometimes very conscientious in the investigation.
I had made a phone call last week, an email to Sturgis to try to get at least the 911 call. I noted there could have been up to 3 eyewitnesses, and they had not been interviewed, and I requested that. When I looked at what the defense was as far as drinking after the accident.
Who do you have for witnesses?
So I would have Officer Josh Wired, Officer Noel,
Slow down.
sorry. Officer Noel Jimenez,
He keeps claiming I called him Noel Hernandez,
Mhm.
but so now I just do to,
Oh, Hernandez.
Jimenez is his name. Who else?
the toxicologist Bethany Bianet,
Last
then-
name?
Bianet, Beannett.
Okay.
And then I would have possibly Officer Stuck was an eyewitness. He was at the scene, observed some things as well. And then according to the police report, the 911 person that called is an Ariana, Ariana. And I don't have a last name. I have a phone number. It's in the police report that was provided to the defense. That's one of the persons that Mr. Wired is going to be interviewing.
He also was treated by medical people at the scene. Are they?
Yeah,
That was kind of after the scene of the accident, after the police
right.
had him.
Well, this isn't a surprise. I'm gonna ask this question every time. So was there a blood draw?
Yes,
Do you have those people?
I don't have them listed. One moment.
I'll tell you what, I'll give you 21 days to file a witness list. And then exhibits, we're gonna have video evidence, 911 call, MSP lab report, anything else?
No,
Probably the bottle they found in his pocket, the empty bottle,
Well, I
if
do
they
have a-
have it, but there are photographs of that anyway, yeah.
they don't have it.
In the old days, they used to, I talked about this the other day, you and I go back far enough, they would seize the open intox and then they put it in that and it would evaporate.
Oh,
And so they'd bring in like a quart bottle, it's supposed to be the open intox and everything had evaporated out of it.
All I have with regard to the bottle is the video of him holding
Pulling out
it.
his pocket.
Yeah, and so they don't see, they'll take a picture of it.
Right.
Yeah, and testimony from the officers to what it was.
I had a guy who shall remain nameless, bless his heart, he's passed away. Him and another guy were out drinking in the country. And they were in a Jeep. And they got MIP tickets. They were over age, but they got MIP tickets. And the police report says, I poured out the beer and gave them each an MIP ticket. And the guy came in and said, yeah, he didn't tell you, he poured the beer inside my Jeep.
Oh, no.
He poured
Really?
it, he poured it on the floorboards
Nice
of their
guy.
Jeep.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that officer shall also remain nameless, but I think everybody involved in that has passed away. He said, it was like an open top, Jeep, probably not, he poured it on the floor. Anyway,
Street justice.
yes, I guess. Mr. Schuler, you need to figure out whether you get on the bus or off of it. This already is December. We're now in almost May. You've had several previous probations that didn't go well. You've had a lot of alcohol incidents, some felony issues, and so I don't want to drag you kicking and screaming into sobriety court. If you want to come in, fine. If you don't, we got other options. But this case is going to need some work before we set it for trial. And I apologize, I would use June 12th. That may be too far. And June 26th. I hope that if it is your due date, we can accommodate that, but I want to go with a target date.
Yeah, those should work for my calendar, Your Honor.
And do you have any witnesses?
Not at this time. It would only be possibly the defendant, if any. But I will file a witness list, within 7 days of receiving the prosecutors. I think once you get your witness statements, it'll be very easy, be very helpful. Yeah.
It would have been nice.
And Melissa, I do realize every time you pick one of these files up, they're new to you.
Yeah,
You've inherited a lot of these cases, and as they come up, then you look at them and see maybe things that need to be done. But it sounds like you've been proactive in contacting the officers and trying to get things that need to be done.
yeah.
One of the problems is they never go to trial. So the officers never get cross-examined by some vigorous lawyer like James Mecrio about why didn't you do this, this, and this? And it is really a learning experience for the officers. They get up there in front of a jury and they're saying things like, why didn't you do this? Mr. Mecrio and I had a trial. He was with Mr. George. And it was a vehicular death case.
Yeah.
And there were just some little things that the officers could have done that would have made our life a lot easier. Like
Right.
take some pictures of, why didn't you take a picture of this? Take a picture of this, which would have taken them 2 seconds. But again, after they got cross-examined on it, I think they probably took a picture of it the next time, but all right, we'll shoot for June 26th at 8:30. If the matter can be resolved before that, great. If not, we can have a trial. But and
The information requested should help us, I think, resolve some of those issues.
Yeah, those were the people I kind of were hoping to be able to identify or find whoever called the police and.
Yeah, and there's a phone number.
Yeah.
all right, Mr. Schuler, I'll give you the same advice I gave the last guy, which if you want to get into sobriety court, you should start attending AA or other support groups. And show some sincerity about wanting to do the program. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. All right, now we got to do the other case, which is the disturbing the peace. This was several months before this one. This incident occurred on December 15th. On August 22nd, the defendant was struggling with his alcohol issues at that time. He was fighting with his girlfriend. Is this the same girlfriend that's about to have the baby?
Yes, she's actually my fiance.
Okay. And she didn't want you to drive because you were drunk and you got mad and you left and then you kicked in the door and you broke her phone. They dismissed everything but a charge of disturbing the peace. So the felonies were dismissed, the others were dismissed. You pled to that back in March. Trying to determine how much jail credit you got. You got arrested on December 15th.
Remember how long you were in jail?
He posted bond on
I believe
December
I just sat for like
16th.
a day.
I think he spent one day in jail.
Yes, Judge Chandler.
Posted a $600 bond. Mr. Mecrio represented that the door had been paid for and the phone had been paid for.
Yeah, we have proof of that. Those things have been removed.
And I continued to see if I got any input from the complainant, Taylor, per saying, I haven't received anything.
No,
She was hoping to be here today, Your Honor, except her children are now sick with some sort of bug, so she couldn't make it into court this afternoon. The only thing I could tell you is that I'm informed that she's still very supportive of Brady. They're still living together, waiting for the birth of their third child, and I don't think she's interested in any severe punishment at this time, Your Honor.
Or anything else you'd like me to know?
Yes, Judge, I've had a number of conversations with Brady, and I think he agrees that he has to do something to address his alcohol, and he's indicated he stopped drinking, but my advice to him is he's going to need some help to continue that. Not everyone can maybe stop drinking for a little while, but with the stress of a new baby coming, and when a new baby comes, there's going to be 3 times the stress he's under now.
How many other children are there?
I have 2.
How old
I
are
have
they?
a 3-year-old that's about to be 4, and then I have a 1-year-old.
Miss Benton, would you come up and have a seat? Miss Benton is here for sentencing and a charge of retail fraud 2nd degree. And she has a new warrant for her arrest and a new charge of retail fraud 2nd degree.
Who is
File
this?
24457 SM. You don't even know about this one yet. This, let me pull these up. They left me a note, said warrant out, and they gave me this other file. But I don't have both files. Darn it. Well, the one that's set for 9 o'clock this morning
'Cause I
alleged
just
that
started
on or
working.
about November 13th at the Meyer store, you sold $38.47 worth of stuff. And you added a plea to that, and it was set for sentencing today. Let me look at my notes. You owed $165 in an earlier case. I set the sentencing for this morning to see if you paid on the other case. 231582.
Yeah, I just started working. Yesterday will be my 2nd week at Fiber Converters.
You started working at Fiber Converters in Constantine?
Yeah,
Are you working in the shop?
yeah, I work first shift, so
That's hard work. You had a retail fraud in file 231582. That occurred on November 6th of 2023. And that was $40 to Walmart. And I think a man paid your fines. One of my viewers on YouTube, a very generous man, I won't say where he's from, paid your fine, which is more than you did. I adjourned this from November to April, and so far you paid none, but he called and wanted to know what to do to pay the fine, and he paid it. I won't say his name. He doesn't want any recognition. He's done some other things over the years. He's paid some people civil judgments. Then you had another retail fraud on November 13th, which is this one, 2429. And then you have another one I got to find, which occurred in December. So I'm in here bending over backwards, not to put you in jail and to work with you. And I adjourned the matter and you didn't pay 1 cent. Someone else paid your fine.
I just
And then
started
on
working.
December 21st, you get charged again with retail fraud. So let's look at that one. Are you aware of this, Melissa?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
It's an incident at Meyer again.
24. It's not in here.
The 24457.
No, we do it by file number. Sometimes they spell their name wrong. All right, I don't know why this isn't in here, but I found it by using the file number. It's like a damn scavenger hunt. All right, it is alleged that on, this says 12/21, the complaint says 12/31. This has got all kinds of problems. That you were at the Myers store and you did alter, transfer, remove, replace, or otherwise misrepresent the price at which the property was for sale, charged as a second or subsequent, making it a misdemeanor punishable by up to a year in jail. And they found you through your Michigan ID card. She was observed concealing merchandise in her purse as she walked throughout the store, and also removed the UPS stickers from cheaper items and placed them on more expensive items. She went to the self-checkout and scanned the more expensive items with the cheaper items on the UPS sticker. Benton made no attempt to pay for the concealed items and left the store. Total merchandise $192.37. Leads me to believe that you aren't getting the message. Ms. Halleck, let's talk about the case that was set for today. I'm disappointed that she didn't pay anything, but
Yeah.
someone did pay on her behalf. I do have $200 of bond, and I told her the sentence in this case would be $200.
I don't know what the answer is. I don't know why someone knowing that they have to come to court and answer to Your Honor and has done nothing.
I haven't had any means to pay it. I just started working.
Well, and that's fine. That was my struggle when I was dealing with you back in November.
And I get paid bi-weekly there, so
Are you still living on Hooker Avenue?
no, I haven't been there for,
Are you, where are you?
I'm currently just staying at, my friend Sue, she's an older woman on 7th and Pearl.
Are you missing work right now?
Yeah.
And how long have you been there?
This will be my 3rd week, I want to say, because I had started on a Wednesday, so yeah, this is my 3rd week.
Well, I'm gonna do the sentence I told her I was gonna do. What did you think? You didn't know yet a new charge. They didn't authorize it until March. We confirmed that you're working at Fiber Converters. I tell everybody that works there, do everything my cousin Buddy tells you to do and you'll be just fine. You put up with his grouchiness. He works hard.
Yes, it is.
I'm very unhappy about this. The only thing you got going for is you got a job. I felt like giving you 90 days in jail. That man generously paid your fine. You did none. Then you go steal again after I bend over backwards not to, you won't be able to shop anywhere. You're barred from Myers, you're barred from Walmart.
Being able to get a job is a huge thing. We see many people that don't have an ID, aren't able to even get employment. So if that were maintained through her next appearance, that would be very favorable to her, obviously.
I think I have $200 of bond here. Which case are you here on, sir? What's your name?
Elton McLean.
Okay, I've got your file.
So I had showed trying to find the courthouse. Plus there was the roads were closed down. School crash over there.
Yeah, you can't get here from Schoolcraft.
So I do apologize for being late.
Well, you're here now, so I'm glad. I have your email address. You have $200 of bond posted by your benefactor. $39 of restitution, $36 fine, $75 crime victims' rights fee, $50 state minimum fee, $200 of bond, barred from Walmart.
I get paid on the 29th.
I'm not worried about money. I'm worried about what to do with you. You keep stealing stuff. This is your fifth or sixth retail fraud here. You had already done this retail fraud when I saw you in January. You hadn't been seen on it yet. You didn't know they were requesting a warrant. They have video of you apparently doing this. But this is a damn nuisance because the file isn't where it's supposed to be under your name. And under the criminal, they've got a general civil cases in there. So I have to look for it by the case number. So let me see if I can get back into that.
This new case, let's see, I authorized, and I didn't even start working till the end.
Yeah,
of
it got authorized on
beginning of March.
March
so-
12th. It took a while probably for them to complete the investigation.
Yeah, so,
So this isn't in my queue here, and it isn't under her name, Christy Benton, but it is under the file number 1231. It was reported. You'd actually been into the office and talked to the lady. So yeah, you knew you'd been charged with it, but they submitted it later. Well, I'm going to show a plea of not guilty. I'm going to appoint an attorney, set attorney pretrial for May 31st at 8:30. At some point, now at this point, you're presumed to be not guilty of this, but they're alleging that you stole $192 worth of stuff by sticking some of it in your purse and underringing the other stuff. Just after I twisted myself into a pretzel to not put you in jail. Then you did zero to pay on any of the stuff that you had. And I understand that you were in dire straits, but none. So at some point, there could be a jail consequence, which could be work release or otherwise, but I don't want you to lose your job. I'm gonna set the bond at $250 PR. You need to get fingerprinted on this charge and mugshot. They're gonna fingerprint you. I want you to go out to the counter, sign the PR bond, get a notice for May 31st at 8:30. We're gonna give you the attorney's name and number. This is a compulsive theft. And we were talking about different kinds of theft this morning. I don't know what you allegedly stole. It was worth $192.37. I'm assuming it was food and household items. Can you tell what it was from what you're looking at?
no, I can't actually. It just says she put miscellaneous items into a bag.
So the existing one is done. The benefactor paid your fine and the other thing and actually posted this $200, which is an accounting problem for us. But this new charge, right now, you can't go into Myers and you can't go into Walmart. So I guess you have to shop at Aldi's or Harding's. And when you get out to the counter, I want you to give your correct address. We have your email address. So we'll get an attorney for you. Remember, you can't go into Myers, you can't go into Walmart. I guess then you can get back to work. Would you take both of these out? Thank you. I have the affidavit. Do you have any report on that or just the affidavit, Melissa?
Oh, let me look, I closed it out.
Are you Christy Binder? You have to say yes or no.
Yes.
You got a ticket for having no insurance. And that's a misdemeanor. It's punishable by up to a year in jail and a fine of not less than $200, not more than $500. You got something in your hand. Do you have your advice of rights from the court officer? Do you have insurance on the vehicle now?
I do. What else do you need? This is my current insurance. I have always carried insurance on my car for like ever since I started driving. what had happened is I have like an auto payment policy, and my fault that I had moved some funds around that stopped the payment going through. So that policy just wasn't paid up to date. And the morning that I got pulled over was just insane. I woke up, my phone was dead. I couldn't even pull up the information on my phone to show the cop.
All right. Well, have a seat for a minute.
Okay.
We'll see if we can get the prosecutor in here. You got your ticket on the 12th and you got your your insurance renewed on the 12th,
Yeah,
the very same day.
yeah.
There's a lesser charge, which is a civil infraction. It's punishable by a fine only. And that means you didn't have the slip. When you don't have insurance, that's a more serious offense. It's punishable by up to a year in jail. If you don't have the slip in the car, that's a civil infraction. It's punishable by a fine. So I'm going to ask you to have a seat. I'm going to ask Prosecutor Marvin or one of the other prosecutors to take a look at this and see if they will agree to reduce it to the civil infraction. And I'm nearly sure that they will. So just have a seat for me and just leave that right there. Which case are you folks here on in the back?
Driving on suspended.
What's your name?
Kern.
All right, Mr. Kern, we'll get with you in just a minute. In fact, let's talk to Matthew Killian. This is a white pigeon case. This is file 24653OT. Are you Matthew Kyle Killian?
Yeah,
Mr. Killian, you got a ticket for having open intoxicants in a motor vehicle, which is a misdemeanor, although a fairly minor one. It's punishable by a fine of up to $100 and up to 90 days in jail. And I don't know that anybody ever got 90 days in jail for open intox, at least not here, but that is the maximum. The other charge is a civil infraction punishable by up to $120 fine. Let's take a look at this. Don't know anything about it other than it was at 11 o'clock at night, 131 in US 12. How do you plead to the charge that you had open intoxicants in your car?
not guilty.
All right. The White Pigeon Village Attorney isn't here. I'm sure they would have dismissed the registration. Do you have proper registration now?
Yeah, I had the plate. It was actually a plate because I'm from Indiana. So in Indiana, you have 45 days. You can put your plate from another vehicle onto it. But in Michigan, I guess you can't do that. So that's what, I had the plate right behind the other plate. It was just to my GMC, 2016 GMC.
All right.
Oh, okay.
If you had pled guilty to this, I would have given you a $75 fine plus $125 costs.
Okay.
For a total of $200, and I would have gotten permission from White Pigeon Village Attorney to dismiss the civil infraction ticket. But if you wish to plead not guilty, I'm going to set it for a pretrial with the city attorney. It doesn't say anything in here about what it was. There's just a ticket with no other information in it. Are you missing work right now?
Yeah, because my truck's still impounded, so I can't get it. I just haven't got enough money to get it out yet.
Well, it gets worse day by day.
I know.
Where do you work?
I run a tree service, like
Okay.
off and on.
Yeah. All right, well, if you wish to plead not guilty, I'll set it for a pretrial.
Or can I just change it to guilty?
Yeah,
Yeah, that'll work.
all right. What did you have in the car?
It was just a tequila bottle, a small one. Like it was just left in there from days. Actually, the officer ended up throwing it in the back of my truck when he left.
Did it have some tequila in it?
I don't think he did.
All right, are you sure you want to plead guilty to this?
I mean, I can't really get around it. I mean,
Well,
I
an
had it
empty
inside.
bottle isn't a crime, but if you've got something in the bottom of it, it's an open intox.
Oh, no, I guess I'll plead not guilty.
All right. Set a pretrial for the White Pigeon attorney. All right, now, couple suggestions. Get your car out of hock and get it properly registered and bring that registration with you when you come in for the pretrial.
Okay.
But in the old days, and they don't do this, they used to actually seize the bottle
Yeah.
and they'd cap it. And it would all evaporate. Now, what they should do is just take a picture of it. Everybody's got a cell phone. They should take a picture and show what's in it. But nobody ever does it. But in the old days, they would seize it. And the evidence room was full of bottles of liquor, but that's 50 years ago. Not quite, 40 years ago. Anyway, I'll set a pretrial. I'll send you out to the counter and they'll give you a notice. Again, get your truck registered. That could save you some money.
Yes, sir. Yes, Your Honor.
What kind of beer tequila was it?
It's the silver 1800 or whatever.
That was expensive stuff.
Yeah.
That was popularly stolen from the liquor aisle at Myers.
Oh, not for me.
All right, you're good to go.
Thank you.
This is file number 24620OT, People versus Clifton Lee Kern. That's you, sir?
Yes, sir.
We've met, but I need to identify you for the record.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Melissa, would you like to take a look at this? This young lady is charged with no proof of insurance, and she brought with her proof that she has insurance now. So I thought you might reduce it to the civil infraction.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, you can talk with her. Anyway, you got this ticket on April 12th. Day I left. River Drive and Wood Street. Driving suspended. That's a misdemeanor. It's punishable by up to 93 days in jail and a fine of up to $500. You got another driving suspended in 2023 that you haven't paid yet. And a no proof of insurance. And you owe $425 on a payment plan where you make no payment. So, Mr. George, is there any sort of offer on this?
It'd just be as charging.
And a first offense? Mr. Kern, what would you like to do?
Oh, well, Your Honor, I'm
Well,
not.
here's your options. You can plead guilty. If you plead guilty, I'm going to ask you a few questions to make sure you understand what you're doing. But I won't do the sentence today because I want to see whether you're going to pay these other fines. If you're not going to pay your fines, I might as well just put you in jail.
Yes, sir.
So if you plead guilty, I'll set it out for sentencing to see if you pay on these old fines.
Yes, sir.
If you plead not guilty, you can ask me to appoint a lawyer for you and I can set it for further proceedings. What would you like to do?
Guilty, sir.
All right, anybody threaten you to get you to plead to this
No, sir.
or promise you anything?
No, sir.
And you gave me your advice of rights. Where were you going?
I was actually going to my camper. I'm actually currently homeless and living in a camper. I had gotten an emergency phone call stating that a tree had fallen in the yard that I'm staying in. And it's me and my dog. And I didn't know if the tree had fallen on the dog or on the house that I was living in.
Well, where were you coming from?
I was coming from my girlfriend's mom's house.
Or which is where?
It's off of Hoffman. I don't know the original street, Your Honor. I'm sorry. Actually, we were coming from Dollar General.
All right.
When I got the phone call, I was
Now,
at
your
Dollar
address
General.
shows 403 East Michigan.
That is my address, my
But
mailing
that's not where the
address.
camper is.
That's where the camper is too, Your
All
Honor.
right.
Let me explain real quick so you got a full understanding. I was living there last time I seen you. I was forcibly kicked out by my best friend who had let me.
I remember.
Okay, well, I got kicked out of there and I was living in my truck. I didn't have nowhere else to go since last Thanksgiving. All right. I stayed in my truck in Maple Crest Apartments in the parking lot. Okay. And I got an offer to stay in a camper so me and my dog could stay warmer. By the lady back here in the back. her daughter let me use the camper, and I had nowhere else to go with it other than her yard or my brother's yard. I'm familiar with the yard and the home. I put it in the backyard next to the house so I could actually also keep an eye on him too, my brother, because he's sick. And the tree that fell was in the front yard, and it's a big nasty tree, but it wasn't specified as that was the tree that fell. I figured it was in the backyard where the bigger tree is, and that's a nasty tree too.
Well, I heard it was quite windy while I was gone.
Yes, sir.
Now, obviously, the city, you can't live in a camper in somebody's yard in the city, so eventually they're gonna catch up with you and tell you have to move it.
Yes, sir. I understand that. Eventually, I'm hoping. I haven't been driving this truck. Like I said, it's been parked. I've been just trying to do what I need to do and find another job. And I've lost my job considerably.
When did
since
you
this,
last
and,
work?
Well, the last time I spoke with you,
Which was last November.
just before Thanksgiving. Yes, sir. I lost my job.
Where were you working then?
I was at Ronigan's, over in Vicksburg.
Well, the fact that you're not working probably has a lot to do with the fact that you don't have any money. But there's jobs out there. Have you applied for anything?
Yes, sir. I have. Yes.
I'm gonna set this out a bit, see whether you pay on old fines. Winter's over. This is April. Let's set this for June. I guess that's as good a day as any. 400 block, that's near the cemetery.
Yes, sir. 2 blocks. 1.5.
They let me have some scissors if I promise not to run with them. So I'm gonna cut this out. So let's see if you can make a dent on that before I see you on June 4th.
Yes, sir. All set.
You're good to go.
Thanks, sir.